Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our free webinar session presented by ERP Connect. Today's webinar will be about ERP Connect's BC Toolbox Essentials Bundle. We estimate that this webinar will take up about an hour of your time, including some time at the end for Q&A. This webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. All attendees will receive a follow-up email after the webinar is complete with a link to access the presentation. In the chat, you'll find links to our social media and our website as well. With that being said, I'd like everyone to submit questions through the question panel during the session or wait until the end for the Q&A. Please remember to stay muted during the session. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Ben Cole, President at ERP Connect.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're going to jump right into the agenda of what we're going to be talking about today. And appreciate the precursor there. We're going to be talking about the Business Central Toolbox. So what is the Business Central Toolbox is a great place to start. The Business Central Toolbox is a collection right now of about 30 different productivity, automation, and dashboarding solutions that are all going to be directly embedded into Business Central. So one of the main things you'll notice today as we go through this is that everything is directly embedded into the BC user interface. Now, we won't have time to talk about all 30, but I would highly encourage you to check out our website after the fact to see some of the things that we didn't talk about today, and we'll go over that in the resources towards the end. But what we will be focusing on today is going to be split up into two different sections. So first, we'll talk about the dashboards and reports. So we've got our financial dashboard, which is our most downloaded and most bought dashboard currently. It's got about 30 different metrics and KPIs across general ledger information, AR, AP, cash, inventory, a bunch of different things there that we'll jump into. History and statistics is going to be more of a deep dive into specific customer and vendor records. We've also got some item history and statistics, basically your one-stop shop to see everything that's going on with these records. And then we'll go into the sales document search, which is a way to report or kind of filter across all sales documents in the system, whether they're open, closed, archived, quotes, orders, invoices, all of that good stuff. So we'll start with that for about the first half. And then for the second half, we're going to jump into some of our automation tools. So a lot of these I'd like to think of saving times, less button clicks, and just more efficiency within the system. So most people collect money from their customers, right? Invoice and statement delivery is going to help do this faster. It's going to help automating the invoices and the statements, as the app says. We also have some recurring subscription management functions that we can get out of there with a recurring dashboard that we'll take a look at today. The one cool thing about the statements that I like to point out is that we can also attach invoice copies when those statements are going out. And we can send these multiple ways. We can send invoices on post, from a dashboard, or automatically on a job queue at the end of the day. So we'll get into all that, plus our payment reminder functionality. We'll get into advanced notifications, which will have some things like pop-up notes for customers, vendors, and items, ad hoc notes, and event-driven notes. So think of communicating internally with your team. And then finally, we'll get into advanced prepayments. So if anybody's using prepayments today, you'll probably have noticed that there's some limitations in terms of one prepayment per order or invoice. You can't do prepayments at a customer or vendor level, and there's just not a lot of flexibility, right? So we'll dive into all of that today, and then we'll finish up at the end after the live demo with some additional resources that you can take a look at to learn more about these tools as well as the rest of the Business Central Toolbox. And then I'll also share my contact information if you have any questions after the fact. So with that, we're going to jump right into the live demo, and I'm going to share my Business Central screen here. I highly encourage questions throughout. I feel like it's better typically to answer the questions as we're going through a specific app rather than waiting through the end. So again, if you have questions, please drop those in the Q&A, and we will have our folks here monitoring those as we go and asking them. So just a quick confirmation, maybe a react or a thumbs up. If everybody can now see Business Central, just give me some indication that we're not on the PowerPoint anymore, and I'll jump right into the financial dashboard. All right, looks like we're getting some positive reactions there. So this jumps into whatever my favorite screen is. That's part of the setup. So I'm actually on a cash overview, which is actually the last tab across the top. So we'll start just with functionality. I've got a general ledger tab, financial reports, AR, AP, inventory, sales, and cash, like I mentioned before. So I'm on the cash tab. What is this going to show us? It's going to show us balances by bank account. It's going to show us our posting group balances. So for each bank account, as a general rule of thumb, should be a one-to-one relationship with a general ledger account, right? So I like to think of this as a health check. Is that true? Yes, they're all mapped to 1 for 1. That's great. what's my posting group balance and what's my GL balance. I would hope that those are I would hope those are in balance and they tie out, right? In this case, they do. And a little while we'll see that they won't, and it's going to be a good indicator that we need to update something. So again, it's a general rule of thumb. Direct posting should be off on these GL accounts. This is helping us indicate that we're all set and that health check is a pass right now. Down here, cash details, we've got all of our liquid assets. So in terms of bank accounts, those are automatically going to be included. We've also got a setup where you can define other accounts. I've got this test account down here where I can see an additional sliver of $20,978, I should say. Typically, those are going to be things like your clearing accounts, right? That cash is going to be in your account within maybe 2 to 3 business days. And I want to count it as liquid because I can pretty much guarantee it's going to be there. Cash usage, historically, how has cash trended, inflows and outflows? And then down here, cash forecast. This is going to be looking at all of our AR, our AP. It's going to be looking at release sales orders and purchase orders if you so desire. And then we also have the ability to take into account some recurring expenses or revenue that may not be in our subledger. We've got an Excel template that you can fill out with any of those recurring amounts. Payroll is typically a good example. But again, one of the first things you'll notice, everything is directly embedded here into Business Central, as we talked about previously. And it's going to give you these reports without really having to do much setup at all. So as we continue to kind of navigate throughout the financial dashboard, you'll simply click on the tab that you want to go into, and it will refresh your screen and bring you up the data in question. So I'm actually going to start with these balance checks here because we just talked a little bit about cash. Now we can see our bank accounts in total at a high level. They tie up. I can break them up between assets and liabilities if I've got banks and credit cards. And this is also going to give us insights into AR, AP, inventory, prepayments, all that good stuff, right? So now I can see here that my AR balance in the GL is 645,000, but my subledger is 670,000. So it looks like somebody might have made a credit to AR for $15,000 here, $25,000 actually, my math is off there, $25,000. And it's causing us to be out of balance, right? This should never happen. My guess is that direct posting is turned off. So again, when you think financial dashboard, think of that overall health of your company. This to me right now is indicating that that check engine light's on. I need to take it in for service or go try to figure it out myself if I'm handy, right? So that's something I'm going to go look at. Over here to the left, KPIs. You're going to set up your goals, and then it's going to show you your actuals, right? So what's my average daily sales? What's my gross margin, net margin? AR payments on time, day sales outstanding, which we'll get into in a second, and AP payments on time. There's no invoices closed in that period, so let's open it up to a larger period. Let's do the last 12 months. You'll notice my data now changed. So as I go across the top, all I have to do is simply click on the date filter or the date parameter, and it's going to update my information. So in the last 12 months, AR payments on time, my goal has been to get 70% of my money collected from my customers before the due date. We're at 80%. That's great. AP, I want to get 70% of my vendor payments out on time. We're at 91. That's great. And my day sales outstanding, I want it to be less than 25 days, right? All these others, you want it to be greater. This one, you want it to be less. We're at 15.32. That's also great. So again, using this to kind of get that high level health check of your company. And then down here, just pick your favorite financial reports that you've already built in Business Central. I don't feel a financial dashboard's complete without them, so we added those in here. If you want to see it in a little bit of a larger view, you can just click Fin Report 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on what you've configured, and all that will show up here. So I just picked a balance sheet and income statement, and you can drill into all that as well. We'll get into some more of the drill downs in a bit here. I'm going to show a few more things here before jumping over to our sales dashboard and our history and statistics. Accounts receivable is probably my favorite that we've got here. So I'm going to jump over to the accounts receivable tab. And what this is going to show, didn't like my drill down there, but we'll jump back into accounts receivable here. What this is going to show is all of my customers' data in an interactive manner. This hasn't been refreshed in 24 hours, must have not done it since yesterday. So I'm just going to click yes. Basically what you just saw is it's running through all those customers very quickly there. And let's see. All right, there we go. Seeing our aged accounts receivable right now. I've got $670,000 in AR. Most of it is in that 121 plus bucket. So that's not good. We got to look into that, right? We got some in the 1 to 31, 31 to 60, 91 to 120. So again, just showing you high level what's there. If I click on this real quick, it's going to pop open this sliver in the the AR aging bucket here. And what that's going to show is just all of the different documents that make up that sliver. So in this case, the 91 to 120. Give it 1 second. Probably have too many tabs open here. We'll see that. All right, there we go. This is popping directly into our customer ledger entries. So what does that mean? It means that you're still in out-of-box Business Central and you're seeing all this information directly embedded in the user interface, which means you can also interact with it. So different than using external tools, you can actually do things like applying entries, find entries, all that good stuff directly from the customer ledger entries, right? I'm going to get out of here, look at the past due customers. I must have clicked it too many times because I was trying to pop up. I'm going to sort by the balance. So I can see all of my customers, high to low. I got snow and ice, AG, transportation, whatever I've got here. If I want to see what's in that 37,000 bucket, I can click on it. It's going to pop open all those entries. Again, we're in the customer ledger entries. So most people are probably used to going to the aged accounts receivable report, right? And if I take a look at this versus what we've got up on the screen, I would say 9 times out of 10, they look like looking at what we just saw versus looking at this PDF. But again, you can be the judge of what you'd like to use there. This kind of makes it more interactive and more easy to use, right? The last thing, kind of like that report I just showed, that's that out-of-box one. We've also got our customer aging kind of in a traditional format down here. So all of my customers, contact information, credit limit, terms, balances, again, in their various buckets. Again, I can sort all this high to low. I can drill into any of this if I want to see what this $2,400 makes up, some credits, some invoices. And I can even come out here if I want to see 121 plus, because that's where many of our delinquent payers are. So again, I can see that this guy probably got a call here. When was the last time they paid? So they have paid within the last 30 days. So that's good. But their terms code is 7 days. And on average, it's taking them about 30 days to pay us. This is also going to flag them as a late payer, which we've got a custom flag there. Anybody whose average paydays, which is kind of the DSO per customer, that's over the terms, is going to be flagged as a late payer. We've also got them in red and bold here just to make it even easier for you to take a look at. So I'm going to skip the AP tab because it's going to be the exact same thing, just on the vendor side. Any reactions? Yeah, I know you use that to kind of indicate that we are good to go on the presentation here. But if anybody sees value in that AR piece, feel free to give a thumbs up or a heart or something just to make sure everybody's still with me here. And then we'll keep on going. Awesome. Looks like we're getting a few reactions. That's great to see. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to bounce through a few more of these tabs. I'll get into sales here in a second because we're going to show a full-blown sales dashboard. And we do have a full-blown warehouse dashboard that we won't be able to get into today, but just to give you a glimpse of what that will look like, this is my inventory tab on the financial dashboard. So again, we're staying very high level at the moment. Value by item category, computer hardware, software, small parts. Where is my inventory by valuation? So I've got most of it in Chicago, some of it in Dallas, some of it in Tampa, some of it in returns, right? If we're getting a lot of returns, you can have a returns warehouse there. Inventory warnings. Do I have any inventory that's negative, right? Always something that confuses me, but having negative quantities of something, right? And other settings in Business Central where you can avoid that, but this is just a good way to kind of call that out, that we've now sold more than we even have. Inventory adjustments. You can see all the adjustments that were made, and you can put thresholds on that. My threshold's 500, so if it's 500 or more, I want to see it. If it's under, I don't want to see the small adjustments. And then my inventory aging valuations and statistics down here. This is just going to be a list of all of our items with quantities for sales orders, purchase orders, on hands, day supply lead time ratios, pricing, cost, sales dollars, primary vendor number, a bunch of different things there. Again, one-stop shop is the name of the game here with the financial dashboard. And everything you see there that we've shown so far is all part of the financial dashboard. Specifically, we've got 3 more dashboards. We'll touch on those here in a second. We're about halfway through the dashboarding section just from a time perspective. So I'll keep going. But since we are 25% of the way through here, any questions from the audience yet? I can answer those in line here as we go, as I jump over to the next piece.
100%, Ben. So we have 2 questions coming from the audience. Number 1, what versions would this be compatible with?
So it's going to be Business Central Cloud only. And right now. I believe it goes back to 23. I don't even know if technically you can be in the cloud and be prior to 23 at this point. So if you have an older version, you want to test compatibility, we can absolutely do so. All of this you can download directly from AppSource, and it comes with a free trial. So I would highly recommend plugging it in and seeing if it's compatible with your version. But if you're in the cloud and you're at least on 23.0, this is going to work for you. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Second question for you is, are these dashboards customizable like Power BI, or are they out of the box?
So they're mostly going to be pre-configured, unlike Power BI, which can take a lot of time potentially to set up sometimes, and introduce some additional complexities. We try to make it as easy as possible. So I'll say with the configuration here that we have for the setup, these are the options that you're going to have in order to configure, I'll call it, rather than customize. I'll say configure your financial dashboard. So here you can pick your different financial reports. You can pick what liquid assets are included. You can pick if you want to hide or show the inventory, what you want your AR, average pay days indicator threshold to show. So in this case, I'm just showing if it's over, highlighted red, cash forecast, KPI settings. So these are some of the various things that you can set up. If you want to actually edit things in the dashboard, you can personalize and hide things, but you're not going to be able to like change the visualizations or anything like that. So for that standpoint, it is mostly prepackaged and out of the box, but with that, it also enables us to get these set up very quickly. As you can see with that setup, once you've downloaded it, we can typically get them set up in under 30 minutes, just because most of what you've seen here, I'll say 80% of it just works with no configuration. You got to add the user security and things like that. But outside of that, we can typically get it up and running very quickly for you.
Awesome. And we have one more question come in, Ben. I answered it through the chat, but figured I'd drop it your way too. So on-prem implementations are not able to install this module then, correct?
That's correct. Yes. On-prem is not supported. We're cloud only.
Roger that. You're good to go, Ben.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So the next piece we're going to jump into just briefly is sales dashboard. I just like to show this visualization, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But sales dashboard, this is kind of your traditional heat map, right? So how much are you selling into each state, sales and credits and net sales by country, if you're selling in multiple different countries. We also have a Canadian view. You can toggle this. I'm in Dallas, Texas, so I've got my view here in the United States, but we've also got a Canadian view. And again, it's just going to show you kind of where you're selling into. If I've got $21,000 here in Iowa, change the filter here. I'll do the last 12 months. There we go. Let's go back to Iowa there. There we go. So now I can see all the transactions that I've got that we've sold into Iowa. And then we can do all this by locale. We can do it by item, by dimension, by salesperson, by date. I'll show this one real quick before jumping into history and statistics, but by date is just going to show you some trends for today, this week, this month, this year, sales by date, year-to-date sales, and things like that. So again, just some additional visuals to analyze your sales metrics. And with that, I'm going to spend the rest of the next 10 minutes or so for the demo on our history and statistics. Again, if there's any more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. So everything we've looked at so far has been very high level, right? Give me everything for the company that we're doing, this, that, and the other. What we're going to jump into now is called history and statistics, and it's going to get very granular. So I'm on this customer 100. It's just the first customer in my list. So you can see it's got a ton of transactions. And I'm going to go into our history and statistics page. And what this is going to do is it's going to deep dive into this singular customer record and show us really anything and everything that you can think of for this customer. So as this pops open, we can see our sales over the last 12 months, our balance, our average pay days, fulfillment days, on-time delivery percentage, what this customer has bought from us by item category, monthly sales trends over the last 12 months, average pay days trends, AR trends, balance trends, a map of where they're located, the items that they're buying from us over the last 12 months. So in this case, we can see they've mostly bought Microsoft Surface 8s. They bought a few MacBook Airs. This is a good indicator if that Surface 9 comes out. I might want to call them and see if they want to buy another $500,000 of Surfaces. That'd be a pretty good day for commissions here for that customer, right? Customer items, everything they bought over the last 12 months, quantities, amounts, how much they've returned, last sales date, quantities, customer sales documents I'll get into here in a second. open orders, open quotes, open returns. So again, one-stop shop into literally everything this customer is doing. If you're using jobs, we can see the job planning lines, every posted invoice that's been posted for this customer. And then one of my personal favorites is this change log. So if you're using change logs and tracking changes, this will already work for you. If not, you do have to turn the change logs out of box piece on. You can also use field monitoring. But what these change logs are going to do now is it's going to filter this down for you just to the records for this customer. So what this is showing now is these all happen to be modifications, as we can see right here. But it's going to show you the date and time something was modified, who modified it, what was modified, the field that was modified, what it used to be, and what it is now. So just a really easy way to navigate and work with these change logs directly in the system and directly embedded into your customer records. Now, if I come back to the customer card, some of that information that's on history and statistics is also going to be surfaced directly on the customer card. We've also augmented this to include it in vendors, in items, in bank accounts, and in vendor bank accounts. So especially for the bank accounts and vendor bank accounts, especially using field monitoring can be a really good way to proactively manage these changes, because not only can you see it in here in an easy to view manner, you can also get an email that something's changed, right? If a vendor's account number or routing number is changing, you probably want to know that right away rather than finding out 7 days later, right? Could be for good reason, but that's kind of the typical use case they teach about when looking for fraud indicators, right? So vendor bank account information changing, track it in the change logs, see it on the bank account card, and also enable those emails. You'll see some other functions of the customer, like sending statement emails, customer subscriptions with ISD. That's our invoice and statement delivery tool that we'll get into here in a few minutes at the half-hour mark, but we'll finish up our dashboarding session here for now. I'm going to jump back out of here and just show you an item real quick. So if I jump into this Microsoft Surface 8, if I come down here, we can also see those change logs again, like we did before. We got some lead times changing, some descriptions changing, things like that. If I come into, let's see, there it is, history and statistics under my item card. Again, just like we have on the customer, this is going to show a one-stop shop for everything related to this item. So quantities on hand, quantities available, lead times, day supplies, average age of inventory, sales and purchase trends, inventory levels, price trends, sales trends, every open document, both sales and purchasing, that this item sits on. So every open quote, every open order, every open return. Same thing here on the purchasing side, jobs, production orders, inventory by location. If you've got bins enabled, inventory by location by bin, inventory age valuation and statistics, quantities, costs, average age of the inventory, and then again, the change logs. So a wealth of information when looking at history and statistics and really doing a deep dive. Again, you can do this on vendors. You're going to get a similar view. We're not going to have time for that one today, but that's okay. And all of that information is going to be directly here and living on the item card. We're going to get into advanced notifications a little bit later, but while I'm here, you can see that we've got this add pop-up note. If I click on this, this is going to be a pop-up note, or I can add a pop-up note. So please make sure to upsell the keyboard and mouse when I'm selling the Surface. I can have this pop up on sales orders, purchase orders, and I can also have it save on sales orders and purchase orders. So keep this in mind as we go into our demo today and we're actually creating sales orders. These pop-up notes will be key. You add them on the item, the vendor, the customer, all that good stuff, and that will pop up as you're transacting with it. And it also has the ability to save. So we'll get into that a bit later, but just wanted to show it while I was here. The last thing we're going to jump into on a dashboarding perspective is one of my favorites. It's called Sales Document Search. And we'll let this load real quick. So I've got a default view in there. It looks like it's searching for customer 100 and item 1017, but let's actually clear out the customer. Let's look at some additional documents. I'm literally going to search through my entire system and I'm going to load the records. And what this is doing is it's looking across every customer in the system, every item in the system, and then filtering it down to 1017 because I told it to here. It's also searching across all of these documents. So sales documents, open quotes, open orders, open invoices, archived, posted, literally everything in the system, right? These are all different tables and pages in Business Central. But if I hide these filters, I can now see it in a tree view. So again, we're basically telling the system right now, give me any time item 1017 has been sold in the past, has been posted, or is on any open document today. So we can see that item 1017. I'm going to click this tree view. The non-bolds are the lines, the bolds are the headers. I can now see every time item 1017 shows up in the system. We've got it quoted a bunch of times. I can see the quantities and the prices that it's quoted at. I can see every order that it's currently on. Orders are going to be unposted, kind of working documents. I can see all the invoices it's on, the returns, the posted shipments. Got a lot of posted shipments here. Let's see, I should have more posted documents. I just got to keep going. You can see there's a ton of information in here. Posted shipments. Should have some archived orders. There we go. Posted invoices. Again, all the quantities, the amounts, things like that. And if I come back over here and I wanted to see what was on item 103,496, I can go ahead and click on it, and it will actually pop that document open directly in my user interface. So that would be for a posted document. If I come back up to one of these quotes, let's say, I want to look at 23001 for water facilities, it's open, right? So I can actually edit this directly in line. So maybe I want to update the quote real time, tab 6, right? Well, customer's credit limit's been exceeded. It's a different problem, but I can now do that automatically. And if I come back in here, that order is being updated, or that quote is being updated real time, right? So just an easier way to access your data directly in the user interface through, this is part of our history and statistics tool, and it's called sales document search, kind of as the name entails. We're searching across all sales documents in the system. Now, you can, look at lines only. That's just going to show you the lines. You can look at headers only. You can save your view. So I could save your view and call it something and then pop it up. I could get views, which these are going to be all my saved views. I've got that customer 100 and 1017 is my default. So that's going to be what pops up every time I log in here. I can view the document like we already showed. I've got different views and sorts, things that I can look at here. So again, we're kind of right butting up to the half hour. So I want to respect the time so we can jump into some of the automation and productivity tools. But any other questions on history and statistics, the sales document search, the item or vendor or customer deep dive, or anything in the sales dashboard? Either Grant, I'll take more questions, or if people want to give a thumbs up if they like what they're seeing, just to make sure everybody's with me, I'll take those as well. But we can pause here for a brief moment and see if there's anything else before we jump into productivity and automation.
Q&A box is looking clear, Ben.
Awesome. Sounds good. Getting some thumbs up. That all looks great. We are going to next jump into invoice and statement delivery, advanced notifications, and advanced prepayment. So again, everything is going to be directly embedded into Business Central, and we'll kind of use these all in tandem because we can post prepayment invoices. Those can automatically send with invoice and statement delivery. We can have pop-up notes popping up on advanced notifications along the way. So a lot of cool stuff, but I'll start real quick, 2 or 3 minutes with the setup just to show you how easy it is. So invoice and statement delivery, again, like I mentioned, is going to be automating sending invoices, sending credit memos, sending payment receipts. Think of this kind of as the opposite of a vendor remittance, right? Your customer has paid you. We're telling your customer, hey, thank you for the payment. We've applied it to these invoices, kind of closing the loop, right? More communication with your customers is typically better, keeps you top of mind. So even if you're just confirming that you received their payment, you're popping up in their inbox and they're thinking about you, right? Statements, I talked about this one. So sending statements, sending the invoice attachments. Maybe you want to run that on a job queue at the end of the month to automatically go out. If not, you can run it from a dashboard and just click a button or do it from the customer card. So a lot of different options there. Past due reminders, these are kind of your dunning notices, right? Hey, you're 7 days late, you're 14 days late, you're 21 days late, reminding them that they need to make payment. And then if you're doing any, actually, this is probably a good poll question. Give any sort of reaction if you use the copy document function or the recurring sales line function, because if you are, this could be a better answer, right? The copy document and the recurring sales lines, it's pretty manual. It takes a lot of finesse to work with, right? And you got to click a lot of buttons. Where the recurring documents, you set up the templates and tell it when to recur. And I'll show you how that works, but it's just going to automatically, generate every week, every month, every quarter, every year, however you have it set up. And then we got some wildcards to help manage that. So all encompassing, if we look at this, you can take these documents and you can email them upon posting. So you post the order of the invoice, it's automatically sending the the email with the attachments to your customer. You can do it from a dashboard, which we'll look at, or you can set it up on a job queue, which that one's kind of hard to demo because it's a tiny thing, right? Hey, do these at 5 p.m. But we've got the job queues pre-deployed. All you have to do is turn them on, and then that will help send everything out. The last thing to mention here is just these email bodies. So we make it super easy to set these email bodies up. It's rich text HTML, so you don't have to deal with any of the finicky email templates or any of that set up in Business Central. You just put exactly what you want to say in here. Throw some wildcards in there to pick up like the invoice number, customer name, the amount, the due date, things like that. Those will automatically populate when that invoice gets sent. So again, very easy setup. Typically, we say this one start to finish to set all this stuff up and kind of show you how it works. Might take 2 or 3 hours, right? So you can get up and running with some AR automation in less than half a day, right? In your morning. So after we take a look at that, let's jump over. I've got my test email in here, so this is just going to send it to me today, which is great. You don't have to update all your customer emails to test it. You just put that test email in there. Hold on, PowerPoint's popping back up. There we go. And then this auto email AR aging, that AR aging report we saw in the financial dashboard, you can have this show up in your inbox every day. So again, you're having that aging, you don't have to run it, you just have it show up in your email inbox, which is another nice thing that you can do here. All right, so I'm just going to show the dashboard real quick. Invoice delivery dashboard. This is just going to show everything that's been posted. So if I come out here, I can see when it was posted, date, time, who sent it, what the invoice is. I can click on where it says document emailed. This is indicating that it has been emailed. I can see that this document has now been emailed. I can see what the document actually is. This is coming from advanced notifications, so I can interact with people, make sure you upsell that keyboard and mouse. Remember, we told that to save directly on the directly on the item card itself. And then I just put a little notification here, which I'll do another one real quick. So Power Advanced Notifications, I'm just going through a typical process flow, right? Making an invoice, look at invoice and statement delivery. Maybe I got to say, hey, make sure this gets paid today. Let me drop. It looks like I downloaded this one before on the same document. I'm going to take this image. I'm going to drop it in here just to show you the rich text HTML functionality. And now when I save this, should have 2 of them now. So I basically did the same thing twice because I used this one earlier, but that's okay. Hey, make sure this gets paid today. Business Central Toolbox, little icon there that we've got, which is great. And let me pop into my email. I'm just going to pull this over. I can see sales header 103917. 103917, make sure it gets paid today. I've got a link to open this page back up, and I'm an hour behind you guys, but 12:34 right now here in Central Time, so that literally just got sent directly to my email as I put that in there. So another cool thing with advanced notifications is those ad hoc notes. I'm going to come back in the invoice and statement delivery. So maybe they didn't pay because they never got it, right? I can send this again. It's going to generate the report. And I can select multiple, but that was just one. It sent it. It's going to update this 12:34. It just got sent on 6/5, which is today. And that's going to shoot over to my email inbox, which I'll pull over here. So now we can see, thanks for reading valued client. Here's the invoice copy, invoice number for snow and ice. Amount due is $1,300. The due date 6/3. And I was testing some stuff with a payment provider here that we've been using. You can pay now directly on the link. That's not part of our tool, but if you need other AR automation, kind of cash application receipts, there's other things out there that you can use as well. But again, email sent just from a click of a button from the dashboard. Now, if I post a document, right, I can also have it sent automatically. So let's go create a prepayment invoice and kind of show all of this together, right? So I'm going to jump back into a sales order, and we're just going to create one from scratch just to kind of show the inner workings of all of this. So I'm going to create a new one. Let's find a customer here that we can do. Let's see. This one should be fine. Sales order prepayment. I'll show you the setups in a second, but you have a setting on a customer card that will allow you to do prepayments at the customer level, like you probably know how to do today in Business Central. We do a lot more flexibility into changing the lines and things like that. but we also allow you to do kind of retainer or deposit style prepayments, which that's a customer setting. So you have to pick, do you want to do them at the sales order level or the customer level? You can have different customers doing different things. You just can't intertwine them both at one customer. So you can't have a customer doing sales order level prepayments and have retainers just because I won't know which one to use, right? So sales order prepayment with dimensions is a test account I had earlier. Let's go ahead and put this Microsoft Surface 8 on the document. Testing pop-up notes, we got our pop-up note again, right? Make sure to upsell. Great, I'm just going to close that out. And if I look on the side panel here, it's going to save that for us for the future, right? Great, we've got all that there. Let's sell this out of our Dallas warehouse. Let's do one quantity. And the rest, I shouldn't need, that's all fine. So at this point, we've created the sales order, and now I'd like to issue a prepayment, right? So if I come up to my home and go to advanced prepayment, it's going to open this screen up and it's going to default it to 100% prepayment. I don't have to do 100%. I can do 50%. I can do 75%. I even have the option to go over 100% if we know that more lines are going to be added to this order in the future. I'm just going to leave it at 100% for now. If you went over 100% and they didn't end up spending that much money, it would automatically create a credit for them on their account just to be able to either refund that to them or use for future invoices. And if you're short, let's say we only do 50% here, $650. It's going to take the $650. It's going to invoice them $650 on the prepayment, and then once the order's fulfilled, $650's already been paid. And now they're still going to owe us $650, so that'll go on our accounts receivable, and we'll put it on their AP. So again, just a few different things to look at. We'll do 100% here. I'm going to post this prepayment invoice, and now you'll see I've got a prepayment document. This is actually going to make a full-blown posted sales invoice. The customer would get this: hey, order prepayment for the following Microsoft Surface 8 for $1,300. I'll just quickly go ahead and do a cash receipt so that we can finalize and process this order after they've made that payment. So we'll go SO, payment, apply that to the right document. There's this 1,300. All right, let's post that. Cool. All right, that's just out of box stuff right there. So now we come back to the prepayment. This is kind of the dashboard for this sales order. I can see that we've invoiced 1,300. The remaining amount is 0. That's the customer ledger entry remaining amount telling us that we paid. And now I can see that the prepayment invoiced amount remaining is 1,300. So I've got $1,300 left that I can use on this order. Now, one of the big things with advanced prepayments that I like to show off is that with out of box, you can't update this once it becomes, once the prepayment's been made and it's been released, right? I can actually reopen this. And maybe I want to update this to a quantity of 2, right? They said, hey, we want another Microsoft Surface 8. We've already paid you the 1,300. Use our prepayment funds. That's fine. At this point, you could issue another prepayment, or you could simply just fulfill the order, and it would put $1,300 into your AR for you. So at this point, let's go ahead and post this. I'm just going to go ahead and ship and invoice the whole thing. Great. And now we see the magic of advanced prepayments, right? So I've got 2 Microsoft Surface 8s. I've got funds applied from a prepayment retainer, right? Which is my 1,300. You can change this verbiage. I usually do the customer level one, so it's going to say retainer, but $1,300 taken out of the prepayment. And now I've got $1,300 that they still owe us, right? Because the invoice was $2,600. We had $1,300 prepaid, and now they still owe us $1,300. So that's kind of closing the loop on those advanced prepayments, making the prepayment, doing all that good stuff directly inside of Business Central, right? And I think I must have had this customer exempt from sending the email automatically because I did not get that email, but that's okay. If I come back to the invoice delivery dashboard, I should be able to see now this SO prepayment one. This is what we just got. Let's sort it this way by due date. It was these 2, right? So let's select both of them. Oh, I know why. Email. See this right here? Document sending profile. it's got to be emailed to go out automatically. That's a safeguard to make sure that we're not accidentally sending people things that shouldn't be emailed out. Now that I did, I can see my sales invoice here, which this should be the same one that we just saw. So I've got my Surface 8 funds applied from prepayment retainer. That all looks great. I can see here that I still have 1,300 due. And if I go to my sales order, this was my, let's see, this was my actual prepayment indicating this is just for your records. This has actually been paid because we got the customer ledger entry in there, all that good stuff. So again, closing the loop there on the prepayments, showing invoice and statement delivery real time, and kind of showing how that all intertwines end to end. The other thing I'm going to show real quick is a customer. So I can do prepayments at the customer level as well. I know everything we just did was on the sales order, which is how prepayments typically work, but this is going to be more in line with that retainer or that deposit style prepayment. So let's look at this one. I think they're a customer prepayment level. So if I come down here, yep, prepayment level for APM is customer. So this now I can do actually a prepayment at the customer level. So if I click advanced prepayment on the customer card, I can see I've done some prepayments already for them, which is great. I still have $2,700 remaining actually in their prepayment balance, which is kind of cool to see there. And I've also got a customer summary, right? So if your customer asks you, hey, can you send me all the details for everything prepayment related? We've got your answer right there. Let me find out where this Excel sheet went as it loads. All right, here it is. Let me pop this open. And for customer 7800, let me just pull it over on the screen over here. All right, there we go. I can now see all my prepayment invoices, credit memos, and applications, the document number, the date, the amount, and then the running balance. So 2,700, that ties out down here to the 2,700 we have left. And that would show them all their activity. I can also see that activity in the dashboard, the invoices that have been sent, credit memos, and the applications. So this would be where the prepayment funds have actually been used. And I can go ahead 2,700. So let's just do 2,300 here, post the prepayment invoice. Now I've got $5,000 on account. This invoice is still sitting outstanding. And I've got 2 other documents left. So to finalize this, let's go do one more cash receipt. Go put this customer in. Should be this 2,300 right here. Let's just pay this up real quick. Dimension code, what do we got? Dimension default. That's okay. I'll just put myself in there. Let's post that. There we go. Come back to the customer card, and now it should show that this is paid, and I should still have $5,000 left, right? Cool. So remaining on 0, I'm good to go to actually invoice them. So final piece of the puzzle here on advanced prepayments. I'm gonna come back to my sales order real quick, create a new one. All right. And I've got some other flags here, exempt from prepayment or prepayment amount to apply. So if you don't want to use those retainer funds, you could exempt this, and it's just going to post it to your AR, send them an invoice of the full amount. It's not going to use any of the prepayment funds. Or maybe I've got $5,000 in my prepayment. Maybe you only want to use 1,000 of it right now. I could put in a manual number right there. I want to use all of it, so I'm not going to do that. But let's do what we got here. Let's do that 1017 pop-up note again. Great. Let's go Dallas. Let's go 1. And again, remember, I should have $5,000 here. So either the employee code before, so let's put that in again. And let's go ahead and post this. So again, just making a regular old sales order. I'll post this, ship an invoice. And let's take a look at this invoice. Awesome. So again, bought the Microsoft Surface 1,300. It used funds for my prepayment retainer 1,300. I don't owe anything because I'm using the prepayment funds. And one of the bonus features here that I've got is I can show you the amount remaining in line on the invoice. So classic customer question, great use cases. You send them, customer says, well, okay, great, but what's my running balance, right? They don't have to have that back and forth. They can see it directly in line on their posted sales invoice now. So that's all going to be directly embedded on that posted sales invoice like we have here. And it's just one of those things where kind of like the statements, right? The most common question on a statement is, okay, I got my statement with my 5 open invoices. What are those invoices? I never got them, right? We can attach those copies here. So just it's really those little things that save a lot of time. This is one of them, right? Putting those remaining amounts directly on the prepayment invoice, or the invoice that those prepayments are being used for. Any questions, Grant? So far, I got a few more things that I want to go through, but want to make sure that we pause because I know we've talked a lot about prepayments now, and kind of intermixed with invoice and statement delivery and notifications as well, right? But any questions on the prepayments piece?
Yeah, so we actually got a more general question coming from the group. Ben, how does per user licensing work?
So everything's going to be per tenant. So I don't care if you have 5 users or 500 users. It's all going to be flat priced. And you get in line with kind of Microsoft standards. That's going to include 1 production instance and 3 sandboxes. So you'll get your production. You can have up to 3 sandboxes. Sometimes you'll just have 1 or 2, but that license price that you see on our website is going to be all per tenant. So you could even have, you know, a bunch of different companies over here. So I've got 4 companies in this environment. It's not an extra charge for each company, right? It's just going to be flat pricing per production tenant. Now, if you had an additional production tenant and an additional 3 sandboxes, you would just have to pay for it twice because you have to license it per production tenant. But you don't have to worry about having a bunch of users because it's just flat priced.
Cool. And for invoice and statement delivery specifically, can we attach additional documents?
Absolutely. So let's go back here. I guess I could have added it right there, but I'll show you how to do it through the dashboard. So if I come back to the invoice delivery dashboard, and I do this all the time, right? We've got invoices that we send out. We got to send supporting time entries or things like that. You can absolutely do so. So you can use we've got a drag and drop tool. You can drag and drop attachments in here, or you can just use the out of box function to add additional attachments in here. So maybe I just want to attach that customer deposit statement that we just ran from advanced prepayments. I can put it in here, and there's just a toggle to include it. So you can attach a bunch of documents, and maybe some of them are just internal. You don't want to send them out. Great, leave that unchecked. If you do want to send them out, click that checkbox, and then just click close here. It's now going to save that. You can see it in our advanced document attachments tool, which is again another tool that we have to make it easy to do those. And then if I go to send this, attachment, let's see. Let's try to send this one and see if this one can send it. Let's put a different attachment on there. How about the distribution control center setup guide? Right. Well, I'll have to look into that because I just sent out invoices last night and all of my attachments went through. So I'm not sure if it doesn't like my document type, but the short answer is yes. You can send those attachments out with the invoices. You just have to check that box, and I'll look into why it's not working in my app source test environment right now. But I can confirm that I sent out a ton of invoices last night, and they all had multiple attachments on them. So it must just be something with my test environment here. That's why you don't do things on the fly, I guess, right? When somebody asks you a question that you didn't have in your demo.
Yeah, I think that's all we have on this end right now, Ben.
Cool. Sounds good. Next thing I'm going to show here is the statement delivery dashboard. So again, similar to our invoices that we showed here, I'm going to send out a statement for this customer. And what this is going to do is it updates my date and time that it was sent, shows who sent it. And if I look at let's look at this. Right. So it sent my statement, sends a little blurb here that you can put in. I've got my statement attached here with all the invoices indicating kind of what's owed. And then if I come to this document right here for my sales invoices, it's going to have one invoice on each page. So here I can just see all the invoices that were on that statement. This is a toggle. So if I come back into my customer setup, let's go, I can navigate directly to my customer from here. So in my customer setup, I've got who that AR email is going to, how my statements get delivered. So I've got statement consolidated files as my option, which is why we saw one file with all of the invoices in it. You could have no statement. So if you're just sending them in mass, you just want to skip over this customer. You could do statement only, which is kind of in line with out-of-box Business Central. But again, we have those job queues automatically to help with this. So even if that's all you want, might still be more efficient to use this. And then separate files would do the same thing we just saw, except every email would be its own attachment. So in this case, I had like 6 or 7 invoices. Each of those invoices would be a separate file. So you'd have 7 or 8 different attachments on the email that you're getting. One being the statement, and then all the others being the actual invoice copies that are set there. You also have some customization options, like if you want the email subject to be very specific, like to override. So this customer gets a different email subject than everybody else. This customer gets a different email body than everybody else. And you want to have some like email upon posting turned on or off for this one customer specifically versus what you have over at your global settings. So a lot of cool different things there. Last thing I want to show is our recurring sales documents. So with recurring sales documents, what this is going to basically show is you can set up these various recurring sales documents. In this case, I'll just go to my most recent one. The difference that you're going to see here is these recurring settings. So how often do you want the document to recur? Do you want it to create and leave open, create and post, create and release? What's the next occurrence date? What's the next posting date? And what's the expiration date? So all these things are going to show up on a dashboard that we'll look at here in a second. And then what lines do you want there to recur? So again, this 3-4 is going to be month year. So this is going to say license fees for, in this case, June. So let's actually do 4/4/24 so I can get it to generate. And we'll do 6/4/24. So that occurrence date is going to be the doc date. And this 6/4 is going to be the posting date. And then if I come into the documents to be invoiced, this is going to be that, let's find that one for 4/4, generate the sales documents. Again, you can select multiple of these at one time. And now I selected leave open. So what that's going to do down here is it's just creating an open document for me. So instead of having to do copy document, recurring sales lines, this is putting in license fees for June 24. It's due on 4/11 because it's going off of the document date of 4/4. It's going to post on 6/4. And I've got my license fees for June of 2024 here as well. And then from there, I can just go ahead and post it. Again, we could have done automatically create and post. You also notice that the numbers staying the same. It's from our advanced document numbering tool if you want to keep the unposted and posted number in sync. And then again, to kind of finish it up, advanced notifications. I just got a notification that my sales order has been shipped. I can open that up directly in Business Central. I just got another email that the invoice went out. So that was for the $200. On that one, I had the email set up. So it was sent on post, automatically sent with the invoice copy. And I think those are the only ones I had set up in advanced notifications here. But we'll wrap it up in 2 minutes with advanced notifications. And then I'll turn it back over to the PowerPoint. So some of the things we've seen today in advanced notifications have been the pop-up notes on items, customers, and vendors. We've seen some of our event-driven notes, like I just got one on sales order shipment. So that should be right here, sales order shipment, send an email and an advanced note. What do you want that email and advanced note to say? You can just define it here. We've also got some other event-driven notes like inventory goes negative, email the warehouse manager, inventory is adjusted, email the warehouse manager, credit limits, either coming upon its threshold or it's been exceeded, email the AR team or email somebody in customer service that's or billing that's dealing with these credit limit issues, right? And then we've also got job queue failures. So if your job queues fail, notify you. Sales orders shipped, like we just saw, where purchase orders have been received not invoiced, quotes are expiring, bunch of different things here. We can also offload this to Azure Cloud Storage so you're not hitting your Business Central database with all of those attachments. And outside of that, we had our ad hoc notes where you're kind of just going in, putting a note on the fly. I did one for myself at Ben, make sure this gets paid today. I think that's pretty much it. I know we've got about 4 or 5 minutes left, so I want to give additional time for Q&A and jump back into our resources, but it was a wealth of information in about 55 minutes, so I'm sure there's questions, or there will be from a follow-up standpoint, but I'll stop talking here real quick and see if there's anything else I can help answer.
Right now, Q&A looks clear, Ben, but still got a few more minutes here. Definitely want to make sure anyone, if they have any more questions, can hop into it. And Caitlin, I know you want to probably close this one out too as well, right?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Ben and Grant, for giving us all those questions. Obviously, if anybody has any more questions, now's the time. But otherwise, we'd like to thank everybody for attending our webinar. I'd also, again, like to thank Ben for presenting for us today. It was awesome. And we hope that you have all a great day, and hope to see you again at one of our upcoming webinars.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thank you.